morning and welcome to World Online Racing. It is time for round 3 and it's the one and only, the Temple of Speed. It is Monza in Italy with its 5.793 kilometre long circuit and only 11 turns and very, very fast lap times to come your way with 2 DRS aided zones. This is the Temple of Speed. This is where we see chaos and calamity into the turn 1 Rettifilio chicane, or where we can see some absolute tremendous overtakes come our way. My name is Corey Brooks, one of your 2 commentators for this evening. Join with me, it's Max Ring. How are we doing, my friend?
Everybody, pleasure to be back once again. Of course, Corey finally back in the commentary box. I'm very good, Corey, on this Monday evening. Excited to get underway here at Monza. Should be an exciting one. How are you on your return, your first comms this season after
Yes.
some unfortunate tech issues?
Yeah, my internet decided to pack in. I've been 2 weeks up in the dark, up and down with unstable connections, but we're back, ready to rock and roll, and I'm excited to see that it is Monza to take us away. Now, I believe Zorzo has led us away with 2 tremendous victories, being in USA and Great Britain, and then Tommaso Kenny took that P2 in round 1, but was having a bit of a disaster in round 2. It was Aaron Ramirez who managed to bag P2 in Silverstone. But other than that, I will give you a small up-to-date standings graphic, but I haven't really got one, so I can just give you a sort of an order. And that's Zorzo leading with 50 points. Absolute massive gap compared to that of Corkenny, who's only on 18. And just behind that, Aaron Ramirez, as we mentioned, getting P2 last time out, 18 behind Corkenny. And then we have Carlos Galindo at 15, just behind Ramirez in 4th. Quintino with 15 points as well, levelling that out. And then Gabor Santos on 13, Conrad Bohm on 12, JST 10, Onyx on 10, Lucas Bezner, Reyes Imtiaz, both levelling out on 8 as well, just behind that Marquardt and Pasecki, both levelling out on 6. And then further down that, Avi Gabade on 5, Alexi Cavero, Cameron Dowds falling down to the lower points of the area, and then Rayan Bekar on 2, finishing off the points finishers. Just below that, we have Ryan Modler, Tom Roberts, who have yet to finish the Grand Prix in the first 2 rounds that they've been. So, disaster races for those drivers, but now we get ourselves ready for what will be a short qualifying 18 minutes here in Monza. You excited for this one, Max? What times are you expecting here?
Yes, I'm very excited for this one. I'm expecting mid to low 1 minute 18s, I think, are where these drivers are usually aiming towards. But somewhere within that 1 minute 18 region, it should be a very exciting qualifying. Of course, not many corners to make up time, so it should be quite a close field. We've had that so far this season with poles in both of Vegas and also Silverstone coming all the way down to the wire. I say that actually, Vegas was dominated by Tamas Kokeni, but it still was only a few hundredths of a second in it. But yeah, talking about the standings, as you said, Zorzo has just dominated this season so far. 2 alternate strategies. He won Vegas thanks to a penalty to Shontos, but at Silverstone, it was pure strategic masterclass. And then on the other end of the spectrum, for Ryan Modler, the man who finished 2nd place last season, he's not even got a point on the board. It's been a disastrous start for Ryan Modler. He's not here tonight either, so he can't even pick up a point in round 3. So before we're just about to reach this halfway stage of the season, that he was probably tipped to be one of the favourites to win the title after his performance in season 21. But Ryan Modler this season, it's not gone his way at all.
No, Modler having 2 disastrous races. Maybe round 3 is the time he can pull back some much needed points, but he's not here, is he? So he'll have to wait until round 4. Disaster losses in terms of the championship order, but he's still got 7 rounds to pull that back. We can take a quick little look at the calendar to come. We have Saudi Arabia yet to grace its presence for round number 4. Mexico City over to Canada for round 6. And then Austria before we get our Christmas break. You see Bahrain with the start just next to it because it will be replaced with Miami if the game doesn't receive some form of update to fix the track issues. So be aware, Bahrain, unless there's a very clear and obvious update after Christmas, will be coming back to Miami. If not, it will be the Sakhir Grand Prix and then off to China for round 9 before we finish off in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And what a way to finish off any good season. You've got to do it over in Brazil. Championships have been made over there on that circuit, and hopefully we'll see this one to the end of the season and where the championship will be made as well for a one masterclass finale in 22. What I can say is the drivers are now out on their out laps, getting themselves ready to produce their first banker lap, so we will get ourselves trackside and have a quick little nose at what these drivers can do.
Yes, we certainly shall. And the first driver out on the road is the Frenchman of Jeremy Gallonnet, as he's now making his way down into Parabolica, of course now known as the Alboreto Curve, but everybody still calls it Parabolica anyway. That name just so synonymous with the circuit and the corner. So for Jeremy Gallonnet, he exits out of that final corner. DRS will be open, and the first lap of the evening begins now as the Ferrari driver actually will head into a little bit of traffic of a McLaren ahead.
Yeah, as long as that McLaren can get himself well and truly out of the way before he gets out of turn number 2, finishing off Rettifilio getting over to Curva Grande, flat to the floor. He does move off the racing line, trying to minimise that dirty air and potential strain that can come onto that Ferrari and unsettle it. If he gets harsh on the brakes into Della Roggio, finds it round to the left, back around to the right, taking no shy of curb on that entry before he now comes to the Lesmore 1 curve, which is very easy to run it out wide there. You're trying to carry momentum and speed to get yourself set up before you tap on the brakes and fire the car back around Lesmore 2 turn 7 before you go down the Seraglio straight.
So let's see as we now head into that middle set split 51.7 as we head into Ascari. Tricky, complex of corners to get right. It's easy in nature, but to nail it, you have to have the utmost commitment. Using one of the back markers there as a little bit of slipstream nearly into the back of one of the Alpines. But for Jeremy Gallonnet, this is going to be the benchmark as he heads out of Parabolica. What's this going to be for the Frenchman as he heads up to the line? It's going to be a 1 minute 17.7. A really nice lap to start off this session, and I think that's going to be tough to beat.
Absolutely beautiful lap to get on the board. Alexi Cavero comes powering towards the line there, just falls a little bit short by 0.04 of a second. But there you see AB in the kicks out, but I'm not entirely sure who that is. On the stream, you're saying AB 17.2, Corkenny 17.3, Quintino 17.4. Different numbers hitting that timing screen. Some drivers getting better exits, better entries than most on these initial bankers. But for now, you've got a 5/10 split between AB and Alexi Cavero. IMG, that's
AB.
Joe goes in there. Sorry to cut you off there. Just goes in with a 17.5.
And then Matthias Van Erven goes up into second place with a 17.3. That AB, I'm not sure what's showing up as that on your game, Corey, but that is Conrad Bohm in the Kick Sauber, as Tomasetto Alaya now goes up into fourth place, also now into those 17.4s. Of course, time's going to be coming in thick and fast, and of course, with the amount of racing room you have, you can also somewhat spread yourselves out that little bit more because there's so many straights around here. Shontos, he's invalidated. He's lap time. What about championship leader Diego Zorzo as he's now heading into Parabolica? That was Reis Imtiaz moving himself up into fourth place on a 17.3. What about Zorzo though? He had a disappointing qualifying last time out in Silverstone. Zorzo this time around once again 9th fastest, same lap time as Lucas Baesner. But for the championship leader, it's another slow start.
Yeah, not the best start there for your championship leader. Currently sat comfortably ahead on 50 points. So even if this round does not go to his liking, I feel like he could still potentially be leading that championship standings without a bit of a worry. And with still a bit of breathing room over what is second in the standings. But for now, it is Conrad Bohm, as you mentioned. And P2 I'm seeing as Onyx Mur. Who's that? Could you inform me?
Onyx Mur is the name that he does go by on the game, but it's Matthias Van Erven.
That's Van Erven, right?
Yeah. So, and of course, oh my god, it's Joe Hannon referring back to his old Xbox days with that, and also an interesting fact for you, Corey. So far this season, Joe has only completed one racing lap so far this season, and that was around Silverstone last time out before he crashed with Ryan Modler at Village Corner. So literally he did a lap and a corner last time out in Silverstone, and that's the most he's done all season.
Oh my word. So season 22 can be summed up to a lap and a corner. Well, that's not
Yeah.
a good stat you would like having above your head. Everybody dives back into the pits to get on another set of fresh tyres, I believe, and go out for what will be their next lot of runs. Just under 11 and a half minutes to go in qualifying right now. Conrad's lap is with slip the whole lap. So Conrad yet to be beaten, and maybe it will be beaten. Do we have an estimate from the little commenter in the chat?
Yeah, I reckon we could potentially see that time beaten, with Van Erven only being half a tenth shy, and of course the likes of Kokeni still being under a tenth. It's going to be close coming near the end of this session. We saw this in Vegas and we saw it in Silverstone as well. There is someone who takes a very early advantage into qualifying. They give their all quite early on, and then once we get to that final runs, we start seeing times just pop in more and more and more. We saw that of Raminguez last time out. Kokeni, of course, did dominate in Vegas, but then it was by a couple attempts at the start of the session, but it got really shrunk down by the time we got to the end of those final runs. So for Conrad Bohm, I think that lap time is going to be beaten. But can he go faster? That's also another question. It's not only about the other drivers, it's about him himself.
Absolutely. Can Conrad Bohm pull out a pole position here in Monza? But we are on board with Gabriel Quintino. Will be the first driver to take us away with the second set of runs in this qualifying session. Now for Quintino, out of the Parabolica curve, it will forever stay Parabolica in my mind. I don't care what they want to call it. We've seen Parabolica Chaos plenty of times before, and we've also seen Rettifilio Chaos in the past. So hopefully in this Grand Prix we shan't see the same fate as some drivers, as Quintino slams on the brakes with a little bit of traffic ahead. I suspect those drivers will be kind enough to move well and truly off the line, but will he try and sneak in for a little bit of slipstream, a little bit of a tour as we get going around Curva Grande? Out of turn 3 we go, now flat to the floor all the way up to Della Roggia. This is where things can get a little bit dicey and a little bit spicy as you get going into the Sector 2 now. Okay, it's Delesmo next up to fight your way through, keep it within the white lines, running maximum track limits on the exit as you expect, and same again on the exit of Lesmo 2 before he opens that rear wing and gets flat to the floor towards the famous Ascari. A set of 3 corners that can certainly end your Grand Prix if you're not careful. 2 tenths up as we get going out of the Sector 2 split. Quintino looking for what could be a chance to take that top spot away from Conrad Bohm, but will it happen? That's the question for Quintino. Just 1 corner to go. It's hard to find time here in Monza because you're flat to the floor for a lot of it. It's all about your entries and exits and where you can maximise the ERS usage. But now to the final corner we go, flat towards the line. It is fastest by half a tenth for Quintino, but more drivers are yet to follow.
They are, and Conrad Bohm goes even quicker. He found a 10th and a half on his lap time as well. He's displaced Quintino at the very top by a 10th of a second. A spectacular lap time there from Conrad Bohm, who is going to be next on their lap time. Is it going to be Ave Gabadi? No, it is not. It's going to be one of the Red Bulls, I think, potentially of Alexis Cavero. Yes, it is, as he now heads up to the line. He found a little bit of an improvement and goes up into the top 10. 2 tenths found for him. As, of course, more drivers will be starting and making their way to the end of their laps. A lot of the drivers in the mid part of the lap as Tamas Kokeni makes his way through Parabolica. He's up by nearly 2 tenths of a second. Can he rival Conrad Bohm as he makes his way to the line? No, lost a bit of time in the final part of the lap. But for Conrad Bohm, Quintino can jump, but Conrad Bohm can jump even higher.
Currently on board with Dennis Lamrock. It will be the Haas duo to come towards the line next. Lamrock up to 10th position. Scott Holmes will come to cross the line and, oh no, into the pits. So maybe Scott Holmes had already set that lap, or he's not happy with the lap that was coming his way. We have the Ferrari of JST now heading towards the line. It's not. It's Jeremy, but it will be on eyes on JST. He's yet to get a time on the board. He's coming around towards that checkered flag with traffic everywhere. He's looking to get the tow. Moves out of the way of that Mercedes. Hits the checkered flag. Goes up to 8th position. And now here we see one of the McLarens benefiting with a tow from that Ferrari. Is that Zorzor though? I think it was indeed.
as Johanna moves himself up into 14th. That was also Tom Roberts now up to 4th. He's had a tricky start to the season. How much he would like to make things right at this stage of the season. Of course, this is where you really need to get those championship charges underway in the next 2 to 3 rounds if you want any chance of making your way into a championship picture, especially with Zorzo having such good luck at the start of the season so far. Galindo up into 6th. That was, I think, that was Lucas Baszler making his way up into 8th as Tomasetto Alaya moves himself up to 9th, instantly displaced by Gabor Shontos. But what's Diego Zorzo doing on his lap time as he hits that middle sector split? He's up by a 10th of a second. This, at the moment, will just put him outside the top 10, so we'll need to find a little bit more time through this final part of the lap.
Absolutely, Zorzo now pushing like crazy. He's only got one long sweeping right-hander to go to find any more lap time that can help him jump up from that 16th position. You want to be right up there in the fight, in the front runners, and comes powering towards the line. It's only good enough for 9 to 17.2. What felt like a beautiful lap for Zorzo is still only good enough for the mid-pack at best.
Yeah, Zorzo once again in 9th place after the second runs, only just behind Joel Marquardt, but he really is struggling at the moment, like he did in Silverstone. Just can't find a competitive time, but we know here at Monza, Corey, plenty of overtaking opportunities. So even though he starts in the mid-pack, just like he did at Silverstone, he can make moves pretty much anywhere on the road, because with that DRS and being in somewhat of a DRS train, you can somewhat send some moves to the inside, not only at the Retro Feeder, but into the likes of the Della Roggia, Ascari, and the final corner of Parabolica. There is endless opportunities.
There are plenty of opportunities to make overtakes, even if you're quite lucky to get a run up to the inside of Lesmo. Somebody has a bad exit out of Della Roggia, you can maybe get something pulling off their way, force them to back out and run them wide, and then they may even lose out another position. It's all about playing those mind games with your rival. Quintino, once again, first driver to grace us on the grid with the first set of laps for set 3 of these times to come your way. So now, Quintino flat to the floor, rear wing open, and away we go.
It will be away we go. This could potentially be Gabriel Quintino's final lap time, so let's see what he can do. Same with Conrad Bohm as well. A little bit scrappy over that first apex there through the Retrofilia as we now see our way through the Curva Grande and what will be into the Della Roggia chicanes. The first sector split for Quintino. Is he up or is he down on his previous best? He's down by nearly 2/10 of a second. I wouldn't be surprised here, Corey, if we see Quintino back out of this one, because that's a big deficit to make up, especially when you need to find an extra 10th on top of that.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me to see them back out as we get going into Sector 2. Maybe recharge that battery a little bit. The rear wing is still open, so maybe Gabriel Quintino is still pushing very, very hard to keep those tyres in some form of working window. But again, you've got to look at the battery deployment. It's a personal best for Sector 2, but he's still a 10th down on his original time. So time found in Sector 2, but not enough to help that delta. And we'll come around once again. Now, it won't surprise me to see them in the pits, because plenty of time to go back out once again.
I think this is going to be into the pit lane here for Gabriel Quintino. Yes, it is. And Conrad Bohm's also invalidated, so he'll be into pit lane in tow. But he's got a little bit more of squeaky bum time when it comes to getting the car turned back round. But he should be able to do so with enough time remaining, as his teammates of course, Tomasetto Alaya now comes out onto the road. So one kicks out, comes into the pit lane. The other one emerges from the garage.
Yeah, plenty of time there for Tomasetto Alaya to compensate and maybe get 2 runs in if that first lap gets invalidated. Just under 3 minutes to go now, and we're getting to the end of qualifying before we hit with 27 laps of hard racing around what is the Temple of Speed, the fastest circuit in the calendar. Flat to the floor around majority of it, and you're very cautious on the brakes when you do have to use them, because those wings are mighty low from the setups from what I've seen. So much as 0 on the rear, Max. I don't know if you've noticed that on the setups in the Monza scene so far.
Yes, I have. Usually they're running a 1-0, a 2-0, something very minimal, because they want to maximize that straight line speed. And just due to the nature of these corners as well, you don't really need that much aero balance to get the car hooked in. It's all about the suspension a bit more, not about the key aerodynamics. As long as you have a responsive front end with the suspension, you can get that car turned in quite nicely, even with such minimal downforce. But of course, now we see Tomasetto Alaya really slow the pace down, keep those tyres in good nick, and he will start the final runs of this qualifying session as he now makes his way through that final corner. While he does that, Gallané emerges from the pit lane as the last of the people in this queue.
Absolutely, you just see outlaps galore until you see Tomasetto hit that checkered flag and get that timer started, powering down towards the harsh braking zone, slamming on that brake pedal, trying to get the rotation round, trail braking in, coasting through, flat to the floor once again on the exit, up towards Curva Grande, really trying to maximise the exit speed, burn a little bit of the battery, no flashing lights, never mind. He's going to go again.
He's back. I think he messed up turn one there, so he backed out of it, did Tomasetto Alaya. I think it's Alexi Cavero who's now on a push lap just behind. Yes, it is going to be the Red Bull on a push lap. So let's see what he can do now into the first sector split. Currently on a 17.5, found 300th of a second in that first sector. Of course, very difficult in the first part of the lap to find any time because it's only being that one chicane. A little bit scrappy through the Della Roggia, dips a tyre on to the gravel. So he makes his way out of Lesmo 1 and now into Lesmo 2. This lap not seeming the best so far from Cavero, but as we enter the middle sector split, has he at least found a 10th of a second on that lap time that currently sits him 18th fastest.
Oh, just shy of a 10th of a second for Alexi Cavero. Gets through and flat to the floor on the exit of Ascari now. That is all you'll be granted in terms of finding time with only one corner left to navigate. So you better hope that your run out of turn 10 was beautiful enough to set yourself up for this final long sweeping right-hander. Get on the power as quick as you possibly can. Burn what little of the battery you've got left. You'll be 80 for a brief second. And there you go. Just gets under just over half a 10th improvement. Good enough for P16. But that's about it. You can see how close the times are getting. But for Conrad Bohm, still sits at the top.
Yes, he certainly does indeed. There was a spin there as well somewhere in that mid-pack. Not sure on who it was as the Bella now moves his way up into 10th. Where's Conrad Bohm on his lap line? Kokeni up into second. Bohm's not improving at this current moment in time. Dennis Langrock moves himself to 5th. Van Erven has invalidated and he's gone for a little bit of a half slide there. What about Diego Zorzo, championship leader? He's only heading for the middle sector. He's up by 600ths, so he's teammate of Carlos Galindo. He finds a bit of time but stays 8th fastest. So all eyes really now on Diego Zorzo and what he can do on his lap as he now makes his way into the final corner. Bohm did find time and improves ever so slightly more just to strengthen his grasp on pole position. Here comes Diego Zorzo, the championship leader. Is he going to do enough to at least break into the top 5? No, only 8th fastest, displaces his teammates. And again, a disappointing qualifying for Zorzo, but he can make his way through the field. But it's Conrad Bohm who takes pole position.
Well. Somebody said in the chat that Bohm was only fastest through slipstream the entire lap. Turns out Conrad Bohm was proving you wrong and has gone ever quicker still and holds out that fastest lap time every time he's graced us with a lap. Kenny just gets up into second and Onyx Van Erven, we should say, is third. Gabriel Contino, Dennis Lamrot, Tom Roberts, Jeremy Galenia, Diego Zorzo, Carlos Galindo, and Joe Marquardt. I apologise on some of these names. My first time reading them this season, so you'll have to bear with me while I get used to that. And then we go on with Valentino Labella, Lucas Bezner, Gabor Santos, Tomasetto Alaya, Reyes Imtiaz, OMG, it's Joe. And I'm going to get back to it in just a brief second. Alexi Cavero and JST, and then further down the order, I think Avi Gabadi didn't actually get a lap on the board. So is that a qualifying ban potentially being served?
Sure. No, it wasn't a qualifying ban there from Gabadi, but he hasn't had the best of luck in his qualifying sessions so far this season. So, yeah, he certainly is struggling with it, but has been able to make points from being at the back of the field. And, yeah, it's going to be an interesting race up ahead, of course. No lobby restarts here anymore. And we shall now see what we are going to deliver in this race. Of course, your championship leader in that mid-pack here, Corey. Kokeni, the man in second place in the standings. He's up on the front row of the grid. Should be quite a spicy race ahead.
You expect to see that from Tomas Kenny, always a driver that's able to produce some fine overtakes and some fine pressure on those front runners and make them work for those victories. And like we said, Zozo, 2 victories under the belt. He's not feeling too much pressure coming into this one. He's had that bad qualifying, but he's still ready to rock and roll coming down into turn 1, turn 2, even turn 3 up towards Della Roggia. Any chance, any open door will be taken from the Diego Zozo. It's the best opportunity is lap 1, and then you settle into that race pace, you settle into that tyre management mode. You want to see how long you can go, and then after that, the second stint, it's all go, go, go once again. But now we wait for the drivers to get their setup supplied, set their fuel load, and change those strategies, tweak them a little bit so the boys in the pit lane are nice and ready to apply their tyres. And any potential wings, if they get damaged along the way, they need to make sure that the crew are ready and fired up to rock and roll. So that's something to keep your eyes peeled for. Is the strategies here in Monza. But there we go. The lights are on. It is 3, 4, 5 lights. The grid is hot. The drivers are ready. It's all go, go, go. And a beautiful getaway from Conrad Boom. And Kenny was not left out by an ounce. And he's immediately trying to put the pressure down towards the inside. He's looking for it. Can he get later on the brakes? Big slide from Conrad Bohm, but managing to defend it well. And there we see Gabriel Quintino as well, trying to put the pressure onto Van Erven. It does go to the inside into turn 3, getting the better run. He's looking to try and hook up with his Mercedes teammate ahead, and he's now looking to try and pass his Mercedes counterpart. If he can find an open door, it's still fighting hard between Van Erven and Quintino. And up ahead, it looks like Conrad Bohm is going to be set 3. And left out of all this squabbling behind, because here comes Tom Roberts to make an appearance. Dive to the inside in Lesmore 1. In Lesmore 2, still to the inside on Van Erven. Van Erven's not having the best start. He's lost out 2 positions here, and he's struggling to find the pace and the rhythm to try and defend these positions.
Certainly is indeed. You could just see the snake of cars make their way all the way down to the Ascari chicane. And that's Carlos Galindo trying to go to the inside of Lucas Baser. He's had a disappointing start. I think some contact at the first corner has dropped him all the way back to 15th position. As we see Conrad Bohm still leading the way. That's Diego Zorzo now to the inside of Dennis Langrock. What a move that was into Parabolica. Many different drivers on different strategies. So on the hard sides, we have quite a few drivers. Especially notable is your man leading this race, Conrad Bohm, Taras Kokeni and Quintino, both on the mediums, followed by Tom Roberts then on the hards. Here comes Van Erven now to the inside of Tom Roberts, and he gets that move back done. Lucas Baesner has unfortunately retired from this race on the first lap, as we now make our way into Curva Grande. The real split 50-50 throughout the field on the hards and the mediums. And for Joe Hannon, he's made it through a lap and a couple of corners.
Absolutely. The longest survival so far, as we see Reyes Imtiaz and fight away with Tomasetto Alea. Does manage to get on through here. We see Carlos Galindo manages to get through on Alexi Cavero as well. Beautiful dive to the inside though. Coming into Lesmore, you can see the tyres on your screen. See that we have that mixing strategies. Some drivers have gone for the alternate, but here goes Carlos Galindo on Tomasetto Alea again. Carlos making moves inroads after that disastrous start. Has lost out many positions coming into lap 2, and he's now making them back.
Yes, he certainly is indeed, as he's now up to 13th place. Next on his hit list will be Reyes Imtiaz. Of course, he is passing drivers who have been on that hard compounded tyre. So, of course, he will have that superior grip difference for now, as Scott Holmes and Jay Esty now squabble side by side with one another. And, of course, Scott Holmes has come out on top in that one, as Cavero has now been overtaken by Carlos Galindo and is now under pressure from Tomasetto Alea. And, of course, we've got the 2 Alpines now squabbling for position. Santos versus Imtiaz. That's invited Galindo to the inside into the Retrofilia, but he's not been able to get that move done. Kokeni's taken the lead of the race as well. It's now inviting Carlos Galindo to have a go. The 2 Mercedes working in unison. It nearly worked out there for Quintino, but unfortunately was not able to make his way through. It's kicking off everywhere down the field as we see Quintino now going in for it into the Lesmos.
Oh, did he pull that one off? He's had to back out of that one. Could not risk any sort of contact there with Conrad Bohm. That would have been disastrous for the pair of them. They don't have that aerodynamic downforce holding them to the ground like we mentioned, very low wings, so contact here is going to be damaging for all drivers who be involved. But it is Tommaso Kenny, as you mentioned, leading the race so far. Has managed to bridge a bit of breathing space over Conrad Bohm as Quintino is now putting the pressure on the Kicksauber driver ahead. He's getting closer, closer, closer. Potential move coming your way in Parabolic, and no, just sits behind. No potential overtake coming your way just yet. Any open door is certainly being taken here as we get going on lap 3. It's only been 3 laps, starting tour number 4 of 27, and already we're seeing positions change up and down the order.
Yes, we certainly have indeed. No moves being made so far into the first couple of corners. I say that Galindo late on the brakes to the inside of Santos. That was very brave to get the car sent down the inside there. He's not pulled it off just yet. We get a good exit out of turn 2 and now through the Curva Grande. If he wants to make his way through, Santos has actually picked up a bit of front wing damage as well in that Alpine, so he'll be struggling through the Lesmos in the middle sector a little bit more as he squeezes Galindo onto the grass, who cuts across the road and spins across the track into Santos. They're both off the road, they're both round, and for a disastrous start for the pair of them has just got even worse, as Carlos Galindo and Santos are now off the back of this train, as I think Tomasetto Elia may have also got involved as he's dropped back down to 17th.
Well, jumping back, we see a fight between OMG, it's Joe, that's all I can say for now, and JST. JST has managed to slip on through, making 14th position, following all that disaster and carnage that has just ensued in front of them. Now you see that 2.3 second gap for Alexi Cavero leading this second train behind, and that's going to be damaging for these lot now. They need to pray that they're going to have a better strategy and claw back through the field and gain that time back. But it's left Alexi Cavero sitting duck without DRS protection. Here comes Scott Holmes looking to potentially make an overtake.
Do Scott Holmes, is he going to get that move done? It does seem so with the DRS. Of course, there's such a big gap now between Imtiaz and Holmes, and he has got through as SD also has followed suit. Imtiaz now fighting with Valentino Labella as now these two squabble over 10th place, and Imtiaz makes his way up into that top 10, so he's now into the points paying positions. And we now have those two trains, of course, squabbling with one another. Galindo's carried on, Elia and Santos into pit lane, so I do believe the Kicksauber was involved in that collision between Galindo and Santos, and that really has put pay to both of their races, you would think here, Corey, unless we get a safety car at some point in this race as Joe Hannon versus Abe Gabadi, the V-Cub comes out on top.
Abe Gabadi just absolutely fired it to the inside there into Lesmo, managed to pull that one off. Big boy send for the V-Carb TF10 driver there, and Joe Marquardt as well, making moves side by side with Jeremy Gallanier coming into Ascari. Who's going to come out on top of this battle? I think Jeremy may hold this one out. Joe Marquardt's losing positions now. Race Imtiaz has found an open door and pulled on through after that little squabble between those two. That was interesting stuff. Joe Marquardt playing it risky and brave into Ascari, but didn't play his way. Reyes Imtiaz managed to pull that one off and get ahead. Is this now giving Imtiaz a run to try and get past on Jeremy? He's looking for it to the inside line as we get going all the way down to Rettifilio. Late on the break, side by side. The Ferrari leaves a space, but will now benefit from the inside line. Tries to push that Alpine out wide, but left plenty of space to keep all four wheels on the track, if not on the apex as they go side by side. They're in Curva Grande, and I think it may be one will have to concede, but who's going to be on the brakes as we get going up towards Della Roggia? The Alpine's going to try and force the squeeze to the inside of the apex, and they're still side by side on the exit, but Jeremy's just clipped the gravel. He's ended up slowing on down as allowed Joe Marquardt to slip on through. That was a lovely battle there for 5 corners. Well done.
That certainly was indeed, as Imtiaz, of course, now makes his way through as we see Conrad Bohm actually nearly lose a second to Tanash Kokeni at the front of this field. Are we going to see Bohm be able to get this move done as the Bella has now got past Jeremy Gallinet as well, so the Ferrari starting to fall backwards as we see now the V-Car back up into that top 10. Gallinet's lost 3 places in the span of a sector. And he's lucky, he's got a big gap now to, I say a big gap to Scott Holmes. They've really caught back up with SD and Holmes thanks to all this squabbling. And they now rejoin this group. So it's now back from first all the way down to 15th, sorry, in this train.
Joe Marquardt making moves, fighting away with Reyes Imtiaz. Beautiful position gain there with the DRS. Nice and easy textbook 101 overtake as we get going out of Rettifilio. keep getting those two mixed up. I keep thinking we're at Della Roggia and we're not. We're not. That's the second chicane. But nevertheless, Ray Dimtiaz is certainly going to fire that back in Curva Grande. And does manage to slip back through on Joel Marquardt before we get to Della Roggia. So beautiful stuff there between those two. Nice little squabbling as we're going on lap 7. Still 20 laps of racing to go. Plenty of action to come your way. Alexia Cavero, Tomasetto Alea scrapping away ever slightly. Oh no, Max? Have I lost Max? I think I've lost my core comms. Oh dear. I think I'm on my own. Has something happened with us, God? We've lost Max. We've lost him, he's gone, but nevertheless, we do see pit stops start to happen. Pit stops start to fall down the order. Max has disconnected. Something has happened with my core comms. I'm currently running solo. I apologise for this, but I'll try and do my best. He's may have had some unforeseen issues, internet issues. It gets the best of us. For the last 2 weeks, I've been faced with internet issues. But there we see Quintino, Van Erven, Jeremy, Carlos Galindo all into the pits to slap on some fresh rubber tyres. That will be onto the hards, no doubt for those lot. Yes, it is. So called Kenny, Diego Zorzo, Joe Marquardt, Scott Holmes are all going to be thinking these mediums are not going to work. Can you select current tyre, please? I just did. I just did. Don't worry, I know. As soon as pit stops happen, I will pull up the tyres. Don't you worry about that. I just don't want to keep the screen cluttered up with how close the racing can get. But as we look on to the front of the field call, Kenny's certainly going to be thinking about pit stops anytime now, because he's at risk of undercut from those behind. And Quintino, Van Erven, Cavero, for example, Tomasetto Alea, they've already moved on through those who have pitted for Jeremy Galliner and Carlos Galindo. And there goes Cole Kenny. We're certainly thinking pit stops. It's Zorzo who's going one lap longer, and he's sticking to that rear end of Tom Roberts. Not the best race for Zorzo, having 2 master races, getting 2 victories so far. He's not looking like it's going to be 3 for 3. We'll just take that double race victory, and we'll be a season 22 double race winner so far out of everybody. Conrad Boom is surprising me so far with the pace. Certainly very, very strong here in Monza. Zorzo and Tom Roberts struggling to try and keep pace, but don't forget Zorzo is on the medium tyres. Those mediums are going to be feeling a little bit worse for wear anytime now. So he's just trying to run the pace and keep himself well within that DRS distance. I do apologise. I'm just going to take a quick little look at Discord on my phone to see what the crack is here with Max, because he has completely gone. PC has crashed. Right, well, wait a couple of minutes and Max and certainly will be joining us again. He's had a PC crash. Unfortunate for Max. And again, things get the best of us. But he's not missing much. The race is running its own little rhythm, its own little his pace. Everybody's starting to think strategy, especially for Zorzo. Scott Holmes, they'll be thinking, when is the right time to box and get off these mediums and slap on those white wall tyres? Luigi would be proud with all the white walls that are on there right about now. Alexa Cavero picking up 3-second time penalty. Slap on the wrist. Keep it within the white lines, my friend. Is not done too well here in this Grand Prix. Jeremy now takes fastest lap of the Grand Prix with 20.3. And beautiful lap, to say the least. But those fresh tyres certainly working wonders for Jeremy. Alexa Cavero retiring in the pits. Again, not having the best Grand Prix here today. Has struggled in qualifying. He's struggling on the track and has said, no thank you, that's enough for me. Better luck next time. We shall see you next time out in Saudi Arabia. My favourite track of the calendar. I love a good Jeddah Grand Prix. 13 turns in Sector 1, only for the bravest, and if you beat yourself on that centre curve. You know exactly which one I'm talking about. You'll be straight lining into the barrier or into the runoff if you can get yourself back under control, depending on how fast you're coming through those Sector 1 Jetta S's. But for now, Conrad Bohm still running well. Diego Zorzo still running the mediums. Scott Holmes is in the pits, and there we go. So it's just Diego Zorzo, and I think somebody further back. Yes, that Thomas Alea on the medium compounder tyre. Everybody else on the white walls running at the alternate strategy, or if not, have just boxed onto those white wall tyres. But Zorzo feeling very comfortable so far. Still running the mediums, still within DRS. He's not losing out any time, so you might as well. When you start to lose out in the corners, when you start to think, okay, now's the time to pit, now's the time to get those fresh boots on and push to the end. So 11 of 27, 16 laps remaining. And we are still following on with what could be a change in the race lead as Tom Roberts starts to get dangerously close to the rear end of Conrad Bohm. Bohm maybe now put on a bit of a defensive from Tom Roberts. Roberts finding a little bit more pace there. And as the gap starts to open up a little bit more, here comes Zorzo, starts to close up. Puts that battery into a state of recharge, gets on the brakes. Kerr really watches the corner entry into Parabolica. Doesn't want to pick up too much on the steer. That dirty air playing a nasty factor and can certainly push her into the gravel and cost you even more time. But now everybody just once again settling in, using the DRS to not lose out too much pace. Zorzo running very, very well. 12 laps now on the medium tyres. My Discord's in streamer mode, so I won't even know if Max rejoins me. I won't get a ping or anything. I'm in streamer mode, all the notifications are turned off. My Steam is on Do Not Disturb, so no notifications that way. So Max is just going to have to just come in and be like, I'm back! And I'm going to have to get jump scared. So we'll have to wait and see when Max rejoins us. But again, not missing much. Everybody just running that tyre management mode, that tyre management phase. Not a lot of action coming your way. Zorzo moving out of that dirty hot air. Tom Roberts now looks to the outside line with DRS. Takes the position away from Conrad Bohm. And will lead the race for the first time here in Monza this season. The sky's looking like it's getting a little grey. It's getting a little dark. So maybe it's getting a little bit cooler out there. Playing the tyres a bit of a favour in a way. Somebody could do inform me in the chat if we're expecting a spot of weather. That's always nice to see. Changing conditions to see who can hold out and who's got the most talent, who's got the pace, all weather. But it's not as sunny as it was when this Grand Prix first started 13 laps ago. Further back, we do see Zorzo finally get into the pits. And where will Zorzo come out? I think Mayfall 14th, 15th. Unless he can get out ahead of that train. I think he may just do. Stays out in 13th. Beautiful stuff for Zorzo. And now he needs to push on, but we'll have the better tyres from those ahead. Here is your tyre allocation once again. As Thomas Alea, I think, will be the last driver to box out of two stop strategies. Other than that, it will be P1 down to P8. All going for the medium tyres. It's just when is the best time to get off them. We've seen Zorzo run 13 laps, 12 laps if you want to get technical, on the medium tyres. So when it comes down to lap 15, lap 16, lap 17, those front 8 drivers will be thinking, okay, let's get off these tyres now. But it's Tomasetto Alea who's going to have to think of a different strategy. That's 2 stop guaranteed. Because I doubt those mediums are going to last another 13 laps. Oh, I apologise. Yawning there. Things again. A little bit slowed down as they do. Nothing really happening. Lap after lap after lap. Not even exchanging positions between 1 and 2 like we saw in the F1 24 game cycle. No, they don't even do that. We went from 1 and 2 changing positions, the front two constantly swapping lap after lap after lap, to now all we do is wait and see. We all love a bit of damage. Yes, we do. Who needs an end plate when you're running 2-0 wings? You don't even need downforce. What do you need downforce for when you've not even got it on your setup? Ignore that. Forget about it. You don't need an end plate. It's a flesh wound. Looking on at this grid, though. I don't know. Wise words, absolutely. Words of wisdom. Who needs an end plate when you're not even running downforce to begin with? Who needs what is downforce? Bit of a lock up there from Tom Roberts has allowed Conrad Bohm to close up a little bit more. Here we see OMG, it's Joe! Dive into the pits. That's 2 stop. On to the mediums we go. For our friend Joe. Two stop guaranteed. So Tomasetto Alaya is also thinking the same thing, but when is the best time to pit for Tomasetto? Surely any time now. To maximise the use of another set of mediums, if mediums are to play a factor. Oh no, that's just the first stop, sorry, that's his first stop, I apologise. That's Joe's first stop. Started on the white wall tyres. Everybody needs a white wall tyres. The hards can do some mileage, but for Joe, it's on to the yellow walls now. And we wait and see to see what Tom Roberts is going to do. He's going to follow suit, or will they let Joe try for that undercut? 14 laps completed on those hard compounded tyres. Tom Roberts is going to go another. So is Conrad Bohm, Landrock, Racing Tiaz, Labella, JST, and Avigo Badi. They're going to run it 1 lap longer. Tomasco Kenny now comes towards the line with that other train behind. You see 3 splits here on that little track map. You have P1 to P7, then P8 to P10, and then P11, sorry, then P10 to, I think, what is Scott Holmes, and then you have Carlos and Joe. Tomasetto Alaya retiring in the pits. We'll see you next time over at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. If you deem yourself worthy to come and join us for it. Disaster race for Tomasetto, and here in Monza, when it's just flat to the floor for 90% of the lap, there's not a lot of places you can actually catch up, as seen by this front train that have maintained this train since we saw that disaster on lap 3 or 4. Everybody else just trying to damage limit it. Oh, crikey. I think Max may be having issues here because I'm still waiting for Max to come back. Oh, he's in the VC. Max?
Hello.
He's here.
Hello, I'm back. My PC decided to crash, so I left it for 5 just to give it some breathing room. And we're back. It's working again.
Well, you didn't miss much. That's a fact.
Was it just... I was watching it on my phone. It was all pretty much pit stops, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Pit stops completed. And drivers are now just settling into a rhythm. We have Tom Roberts down to having a body that have yet to pit still. So this is where things are looking a little bit spicy. I expected them to box around 15 to now, and they haven't. So we'll see how it pans out. But this is just going to benefit them when they do get onto those medium tyres. They're going to be able to push harder for longer as they've got less laps to complete.
Yes, they certainly can indeed. Hopefully, me disconnecting and joining back hasn't caused any issues for the drivers. I hope it's all gone quite smoothly for them. But of course, Conrad Bohm, he started on pole, now of course second in this train. I think the only issue, of course, here, Corey, these guys are going to have on this alternative strategy is the fact they're going to have to try and find so much time compared to the rest of the field in the space of only 10 to 9 laps. So they're really going to have to try and make this one stop work, whereas everybody else, I'm expecting to potentially be struggling near the end and might have to, especially the drivers with 10-lap-old or 9-lap-old tires, potentially have to try 2-stop.
Well, I was thinking that Tomasetto Alaya had already boxed for mediums and done 10 laps on them and has retired on lap 17. So, 2-stop, if it is a factor, Tomasetto was still well and truly in the game. But as, again, needing to box again doesn't feel like it is a factor. We have yellow flags, so he's done a spinner and somebody off the track. Somebody struggling there. I think that's Reyes Imtiaz having a moment, has dropped off a couple seconds. And, oh yeah, it is indeed.
Oh, he's got a puncture, rear left puncture.
Oh no, Imtiaz has got a puncture. That's it, Dunzo.
Is that going to happen to anybody else at the front of the field then? Imtiaz was running so well throughout this race. He really was. He's been having quite a standout performance here this evening. Much better than his teammate Gabor Jontos. And unfortunately, he's picked up that rear left puncture. And seeing that here, Corey, unless some of these drivers who haven't boxed yet have done a miracle in tyre saving, surely they're all pretty much going to come in now.
Yeah, they're going to have to box. They can't risk one more lap. And Tom Roberts, I think he's going to. Oh my word. Certainly going to risk it another lap. This is getting spicy. This is getting dicey. You're really playing with fire. Reyes Imtiaz has ended up picking up a puncture and now can't even make it back to the pits. You see, stopped at the end of Sector 2. Can't even get around Lesmore. And Tom Roberts, Conrad Bohm, Dennis Landrock, Valentino Labella, JST having a bad hit. They're all risking it. They want to risk it for a biscuit and go another lap.
Yeah, they certainly do. Now, if any of these guys pick up a puncture, it could be game very much over in their case. As you can see, Imtiaz still hasn't even got past the Ascari. Of course, rear left or rear tyre punctures are a bit more detrimental to your pace than a front puncture because, of course, you're constantly spinning, trying to put the power back down because that's where the torque comes from. And, yeah, for Reyes Imtiaz, I give it to him. He's going to get this one back to the pit lane and not retire onto the circuit. So he's going to be a lap down, but still, it doesn't matter in his case. I think he just wants to get this one out of the way for everybody else. But for Tom Roberts, he still leads the way. And will this be the occasion he comes into pit lane? Or is he still going to risk it for one more?
Oh, it's brave. It's bold. Conrad Bohm looks like he's got the pace to stay hot on the heels of Tom Roberts. And I think they are going to stay out and go another one. They are really braving it, as Dennis Landrock says, nope, that's enough for me. On to the mediums we go.
Yes, he certainly does. And all I was going to say, if there's a move there from Conrad Bohm, it's a big lock up from Tom Roberts. I was going to say, if that move came from Conrad Bohm there, we potentially could be seeing this race really flip onto its head. And hang on, has it started raining, or is that just my screen playing up?
Well,
it has started raining.
The sky was looking a little grey, and we are starting to see waterfall, so it is going to rain. I did ask in the chat, is it going to rain? And I didn't think I got a response, so well, we do have some little light drizzle. It's spitting, everybody, it's spitting. Everybody grab your umbrellas, grab your waterproofs, and get those intermediates on in around 3 laps time when the water starts to become a surface problem.
Yes, this is now why these drivers stayed out for oh so long. It was not due to strategy of trying to take those mediums as short a distance as possible. It's because the rain has started to tumble here at Monza. And this now really does change everything. I think Imtiaz, Jontos and Lamrock have all gone a little bit too early. They're not going to be able to really find too much time at this stage, but we are going to see Tom Roberts into pit lane. Bohm stays out for one more, same with SD. As Roberts picks up 10 seconds of speeding into the pit lane, his horror season gets even worse.
That is disaster for Tom Roberts. 10-second slap on the wrist, slow the car down, but I bet the pit lane's just getting a little greasy, and there you see an instant retirement. Absolutely donezo, not happy with that one. That is just unlucky. But you've got to think, with these little drops of water starting to hit the track, it makes the grip unpredictable, and he's just hit the brakes a little bit too late and slid into the pits. 10 seconds, race over.
So unfortunate there for Tom Roberts. He was driving a really good race on that strategy, and unfortunately, it's not gone his way at all. Of course, these hard runners all the way down from Conrad Bohm, JST and Avga Badding, they're all hoping it goes to intermediate conditions. But the likes of Matthias Van Erven, Tamas Kokeni, Diego Zorzo, they're all praying for it to stay slick and just get a little bit more greasy, just so that they are able to hold on to their current track positions and be able to take that race lead. But we see Van Erven all over the back of Gabadi. This will surely be a move. We actually see Gabadi pick up a puncture. Gabadi's now punctured, heading down into Parabolica, and he's let Kokeni through and he's spun around. Luckily, Zorzo's 4 seconds back. But for Abe Gabadi, he's another one we've seen fall to the punctures as JSD's now into pit lane and Bone once again stays out for another lap. He's surely dancing with danger here. He's dancing with a puncture, but he's still going on, hoping it gets to intermediates.
Oh no, Abe Gabadi was risking it all though, and has ended up with the same fate as Reyes Imtiaz. Imtiaz, he's still racing, but a lap down.
Oh,
and
Van Erven did.
Van Erven's in?
Van Erven into the pit lane.
I
He's
guess
also setting the intermediates.
I guess he's just far too wet. I guess he's getting very slick and greasy, and with 5 laps to go, you've got to survive for those 5 laps. This is getting interesting now.
It certainly is getting interesting at this stage of the Grand Prix. And with the man that was leading those hard runners coming into the pit lane of Matthias Van Erven, surely you think the rest will follow suit? Or do they think it's still too dry? That's going to be the big question, the big talking point right now. Actually, Van Erven is losing a little bit of time to JSD as these corners tick by. So is he just jumping the gun like everybody else, just that little bit too soon? This really is all about your strategic battles and when you pick them up. Boom, still out on the road, but that's a big slide from Kokeni. I do believe it's time. They're all starting to struggle ever so slightly. So Van Erven might have timed it perfectly, but Zorzo, your championship leader, he stays out. Same with Kokeni as we have 5 to go.
Oh, Quintino, Marquardt following suit. 5 to go. And is the rain going to stop, or is he going to stay light rain all the way through? We're going to have to wait and find out. But there goes one of the Mercedes of that Marquardt. That was Quintino, sorry. Oh, excuse me. I had to take it to the runoff. And again, the braking is just getting dangerous here for these drivers. The racing line's getting slick. It's getting greasy. And they're trying their best to just keep it on the track.
Indeed, if you're Kokeni and Zorzo, you want it to stay like this throughout the remainder of this race. Of course, Tamas Kokeni is your man second in the standings because Zorzo is your championship leader. So this is crucial. Some crucial few points in that championship picture. And so far, those 7 points are going to the Hungarian of Tamas Kokeni. As look at that, Zorzo's 2.6 seconds slower than his fastest lap of the race in these conditions. Bohm is gaining on Carlos Galindo, so potentially those fresh mediums are quick enough to stay ahead of these intermediate runners. But those older hards, where they've got such little grip remaining, so much wear on that tyre, that's where things start to get difficult. As I think Kokeni's into pit lane. He is. Zorzo stays out though.
Oh, and there's a fake from Marquardt as well, trying to pull a fake here to trick anybody else diving into the pit lane. Zorzo thinks these tyres are going to make the distance, whereas Kokeni feels like intermediates are going to be the way to go from here on out.
Yeah, this is really tense times. This is what you come down to, not only as a driver, but an engineer. These key decisions can be championship defining. If Zorzo doesn't pull this one off and say Kokeni ends up winning the race, that's a 25-point swing back into the Hungarians' favour, and the championship lead is all but halved at this stage. So for Diego Zorzo, once he crosses the line, he will have 3 more tours to go. And here at Monza, there will be agonisingly long tours for a circuit that is usually the fastest in the calendar. So for Diego Zorzo, his gap to Conrad Bohm is a total of 18.9 seconds. That's how much the Kick-Sauber has to gain in 3 laps. And if it gets wet enough, you can sure count on Bohm doing that.
Oh, Zorzo, now, is it the best call? 3.5 seconds to Quintino, no threat from behind. Just stay focused on keeping the car going, keep it within the white lines, do not risk a spin, stay off the apex, because right about now, we've had quite a few laps of this light drizzle, this light rain. Those apexes are going to be dangerous. We see Quintino, Mark diving into the pits for intermediates. I think Zorzo may have made the bad call here because it's starting to come down a little bit heavier now. Just look how slow he's going into turn 1, back around turn 2, really struggling to keep the car going in some form of competitive pace. Maybe this is the wrong call. You can just see how heavy it's glazing the track now. All the surface water on the outside of the line in Curva Grande is just going to prove to be dangerous now in overtaking, especially if you've stayed on the slicks.
It certainly is, as Kokeni now gets past Conrad Bohm into the first corner. Galindo's falling backwards. But I think the saving grace really here for Diego Zorzo is that, of course, it being Monza, there's not many corners on the circuit. A majority of it's flat out, and this is your telltale sign. It is going to be intermediates rather shortly that get the better hand. The rain is starting to appear on the circuit, but if you're Zorzo, if you're Scott Holmes, Valentino Labella, or JST, you're too late. You've got to just firm it. You've got to stay out and commit to that decision you have just made. So for your championship leader, it is make or break. 3 in a row, or is that streak going to end? We're all going to find out in the next 2 laps. And over the course of this previous half a lap that Kokeni's gone through, he's only found 2 seconds. So it looks better and better for the McLaren. Each lap that ticks by, 2 to go here in Italy.
Zorzo looking to absolutely take it away for 3 victories in a row. He won in round 1. He won in round 2. What happened?
For turn 1. He just went a bit like what we saw with Quintino, too late on the brakes into the first corner, and he's just gone straight on. That's valuable time lost.
Oh, I only caught the back end of that. That is crucial time lost, and he's only got, what, 1.5 laps to get through. Can he keep it together? Gets going in sector 2. Very, very cautious, though, coming into Della Roggia, and now up towards the Lesmores. Usually very fast corners. Look how cautious the McLaren's taking it. Really easy on the entry, easy on the throttle on exit. Once again, easy on the brakes. Rotate round to the right, and then get back on the throttle cautiously and ease it up to full power to get back up to speed, where we see Conrad Bohm still chipping time away, but I don't think he's got the time to do it. He doesn't have the laps to pull back what could have been a victory away from Zorzo, but for Zorzo, it will be 3 in a row.
It will be 3 in a row, and with closest championship competitor down in 6th place. This will be, if my maths is correct, a total of I want to say a 17-point swing into his favour. So he's going to be near on 50 points clear after 3 rounds. Utter domination. We saw this from Luca Rapassa last season. We thought maybe now Rapassa's gone, we got a new change. We're going to have a squabble for the title. But so far for Diego Zorzo, he's really clung on to things well as he's here starting the final lap. That's a lot better through the first corner. He may be at a crawl, but just how far back Conrad Bohm is, he's surely not going to find the time as Kokeni makes his way back up to 5th, or does he? Round the outside goes the Mercedes, and he does just get the car stopped in front of the Kick Sauber.
Oh, just about. Potential switchback coming your way from Conrad Bohm. He's looking for the outside line in Curva Grande. Just cannot get alongside enough. A beautiful line for Kokeni, managing to fight off what could be another attack here from Conrad Bohm. I don't think so. Kokeni, experienced, has been here in these high-pressure scenarios before and has always prevailed. Come out on top. He's feeling no pressure from Conrad Bohm behind as we get going into Lesmo. And now Diego Zorzo is about to come up to the lovely famous Ascari. You can take us away, Max. He's about to take it away. And DRS has finally been disabled.
Yes, it was just all about switching to the tyres at the right time. And for all the intermediate runners, they just didn't do it at the point they needed. It didn't come down fast enough. And for Diego Zorzo, he has weathered the storm here in Monza. He's not won just 1. He's not won just 2. He's about to make it 3. Diego Zorzo, the first 3 rounds are all his. A brilliant drive from the McLaren man. The Spaniard makes it 3 in a row here in Monza. He's weathered the storm absolutely perfectly. And once again, a risky strategy has paid off into his advantage. And he's going to end off this evening being just under 50 points clear at the top of the standings. Utter domination from Diego Zorzo. A tricky qualifying. It doesn't matter. He can turn it into anything when he gets the chance in a race. And once again, he wins here in Monza. It's free for free for Diego Zorzo.
Absolute beautiful stuff. A master McLaren in the making. You are seeing it all happen here. 3 victories in a row. Total domination has got eyes set on Saudi Arabia round 4 to take it away with number 4 of the season. I haven't seen domination like this since season 20, season 21. Luca Rapassa, maybe. It was chaos back then. But now, Zozo, his time to shine in season 22, and Scott Holmes' honourable mention taking out that P2, and Valentino Labella finalising the podium sitting there. So, a rather unorthodox race, something that you're not used to. We've had plenty of overtakes, drama, controversy, and mixed conditions and confusion on what tyre to be on at what time. But for the Super Spaniard, it does play out in his favour, and he takes the 3rd victory in a row. JST lines up outside of the podiums with Kenny and Conrad Bone. Pole sitter could not convert that into a victory. Van Erven in 7th, Dennis Lamrock, Quintino, Joe Marquardt. Before we get to Jeremy Golany outside of the top 10, Abigabadi, OMG, it's Joe. Oh, it's Joe. I don't know what's the last name. Sorry, I forgot who that is.
Joe Hannon.
Joe Hannon, that's the one. We have Joe Hannon in 13th. Gabo Santos, Reyes Imtiaz, Carlos Galindo, Tom Roberts, Tomasetto Alea, Alexi Cavero, and Lucas Bezner. The bottom 4 unable to finish the Grand Prix, and Carlos Galindo, Reyes Imtiaz lapped. And we saw the puncher come Reyes Imtiaz's way, which does ask the question, if that puncher didn't play out, will we see Reyes Imtiaz in a better position? But now we move on to the interview room and see if anybody would like to come for a quick little chat.
He certainly will. I'm sure we will hear once again from Diego Zorzo. He, of course, was in the interviews for the past 2 rounds. It was a 2nd place on the road in Vegas, but he did get the victory thanks to a penalty to Gabor Santos, and he is in that interview rating room. So, Corey, shall we interview our race winner? I wouldn't be surprised if he's the only one we get. It tends to be only Zorzo, and here he is.
Here he is indeed, Diego Zorzo. I missed out on your first 2 victories, but I was here to make it 3 for 3. Congratulations, you're absolutely flying in season 22, coming in as a force to be reckoned with, absolutely dominating the season, Max Verstappen style, and certainly you're going to be happy with this one.
Yeah, thank you. Well, really I didn't expect it tonight because I could barely practice and then I had screen freezes in quali, so I was really slow. And because my quali pace was pretty good even with little practice. And yeah, just had that issue and then starting P9, I think. I didn't think I was gonna win. But yeah, I just went long. We didn't really know when the rain was gonna come. So yeah, it was actually pretty much luck because I didn't box early, so I didn't have a puncher, and everyone did. Um, so yeah, I just can't say anything more. It was of a bit of luck today.
Yeah, no, it was a bit of an unknown race. Nobody could have predicted what was going on there, especially in the final closing 7 laps. The rain started to fall. Wasn't heavy enough to immediately go to inters. It was more of how it feels at the time and get on the right tyre at the right time. And it seems that you made the hards work. I think you were on then towards the end. Were you on the hards or the mediums then? I think they were hards.
Yeah, I did a medium hard.
Yeah, so the hards then on the end, certainly managing to pull them off. How was that feeling coming around on the last lap? Because you looked a little bit slidey on the lap before.
Well, it started to rain pretty early. I think it was lap 21, so I was like, yeah, GG, because I had 7 guys who didn't box and they were ahead. And then like I was probably net P11, P12. So luckily the rain didn't wet enough the track, so I could stay out, and everyone else had to box because they boxed so early or they didn't box, so they had to do a 2 stop. Um, so yeah, last lap was a bit tricky, but it was sort of um, well, not rain suddenly, so it was easy to manage the first few laps, and then just just got used to it, and it was like 1 second slow per lap, slower. So yeah, a bit tricky, but nothing I couldn't control, I guess.
Oh, absolutely not. And again, took the victory, making it absolute domination. So congrats on that. And I'll pass you on to Max for any questions. But again, congratulations, 3 for 3, and hopefully you can make it 4 next time out in Saudi Arabia.
Yes, of course. Congratulations, Diego. Again, another superb drive from yourself. It seems no matter where you qualify, you just seem to make your way up through the field. Just, I want to know exactly what the feeling was, of course, when the rain first came down and you saw Kokeni come into pit lane just in front of you. Was the plan always to stay out, or was it to potentially follow, or was it just basic instincts at the time?
Well, for me, it was the initial plan to stay out because I knew when we were like 4 laps into the rain, I knew it wasn't gonna wet enough the track to box for Inters, and I was so confused when Tamas boxed. I don't know if he thought it was gonna rain way more or he would have a puncture. It was so confusing because at that point I just thought, okay, yeah, GG, I got P2. But he boxed and I just got gifted the win, so I'm not really sure what happened there. But yeah, my initial plan was always to stay out.
It did just seem that way, that it just wasn't going to get wet enough for those inters to come into play. But of course, next time out, as Corey just mentioned, we do head over to the Middle East for Saudi Arabia. Of course, first of all, the question I always ask you, Diego, will you be attending? And second of all, are you confident enough to make it 4 for 4?
I will attend, and about that, I don't think I can say if I'm gonna win. Hopefully, but I mean, 3 out of 3 is already a pretty good deal. So yeah, I wouldn't be upset if I didn't win next round. It's not my best track, but I'll do my best.
But one last one from me, Diego. Of course, if my maths is correct, you are going to be 47 points clear of Tamash Kokeni now in the standings. What's the mindset? Is it the same as it was last week? Just race by race, see how it all goes?
Yeah, race by race. I'll try to do my best next few rounds because I'll probably, and I say probably, not sure, I'm gonna miss one of the final rounds. So I just gotta get a gap, I guess, for the championship. But yeah, still mentality is race by race. I need to improve my quali pace because last 2 rounds haven't been ideal. And I just can't always win in this game, but starting P9. So yeah, I just gotta fix that and hopefully we'll get more good results.
Yeah, hopefully we'll see you back here next time out. And yeah, the championship really is in your hands at the moment. So yeah, hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye bye, guys.
And that will do it for us here in round 3. Diego Zorzo makes it 3 for 3, and keep your eyes peeled to see if it will be 4 for 4 next time out in Saudi Arabia. It's been one of those races where you couldn't really predict it. The opening stint, bit of chaos as you expect. Everybody goes to tyre management, and then the uncertainty of the weather. Not what you expect in Italy and Monza, but it happened anyway. And now we say goodnight and thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Same place, same time.